Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pro-Life Praise with Evangelist Alveda King. I'm so excited today. We're talking about life, love, and music, and I've got a special guest. Hey, you might want to message your friends or tell them to tune in right now. You don't want to miss this one. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pro-Life Praise. We started about a year ago. We're coming up on our anniversary very soon. Right when COVID hit, we went to having a program, Pro-Life Praise. It was Pro-Life Praise Variety Show. Now we've dropped the variety show, although there are going to be a variety of topics. It's now Pro-Life Praise with Evangelist Alveda King. I've got a special guest today, and I'm very excited. We're talking about life, love, and music. And why is music so important in the pro-life movement, in the civil rights movement of the 20th century? And when I was a teen organizer, a youth organizer, and we marched and demonstrated, we would sing a lot of freedom songs. We do that now in the pro-life movement as well. I don't want to talk too much right now because I want to bring our special guest on. He is Father Dennis Wild, pastoral associate with Priest for Life. And we are very, very close. We work together very closely for fighting for educating and informing and activating people about how terrible abortion is and why it was a mistake to make abortion legal. That is very important. However, Father Dennis is also very, very musical, and he sometimes does concerts and that type of thing around the country and around the world. He travels all the time. But I don't want to tell you too much about him. I want you to meet him and hear about him. Father Dennis, welcome.
Thank you so much, Alveda. What a beautiful introduction. It's flattering for me, but it's humbling me as well. It's beautiful. It's wonderful working with you over these years. And you have an inspiration musical, you have inspirational from a praise standpoint, and many different aspects of your understanding of life. And it's beautiful to have been with you and continue to be with you for, what is it now, 16 years? I think it is something like that.
It's been going on 16 years now. And you might see at the bottom of your screen, people are saying hello to you and to me. They're glad that you have joined us. Tell Father Dennis and me where you are, what city, what state, what country. So you'll see the comments at the bottom. Father Dennis, talk to us. We could go in so many directions, but what do you do with Priest for Life? Can you tell everybody that first?
Well, basically, I'm going around the country, although these days with COVID, we're not doing it as much, but going around the country, speaking on the pro-life issues, especially the abortion issue, and going to give homilies and masses and going to schools as well. So on the weekends, different parish, it's a whole bundle of things. We can go to a university and speak, go to schools and speak, and especially the homilies on Sunday. It's so important that we get the message out to our people, and we can give it in a way that's not diluted, and it's right straightforward. So I'm doing that basically, but I do carry, as Alveda mentioned, the gift of God from him on music, and I've enjoyed that, and it's been intertwined with my priesthood. I'm a Catholic priest and an Augustinian priest, Order of St. Augustine. And I joined a couple of years back, like in 1960. So it's a while back, but I've been using music and preaching and involving the two together sometimes, but generally it's instrumental, it's piano. So organ sometimes, but mostly piano when I do the concerts. And I find this so uplifting. The beautiful thing about music is that we don't have to bicker about languages sometimes. Sometimes people, in the pro-life movement, there might be differences, and those differences are not necessarily of the heart. They can be just of the head and of language. And what music does almost immediately, intuitively, it brings people together in a certain mood, but it isn't just mood. It goes beyond mood to a prayerful state. And I believe that that's one of the things that I really find the most in my music. I love symphonic music. I play a lot of piano, classical, but I'm finding the choral and then the even individual praise of music to the Lord. And it goes back centuries. We have a tremendous tradition and all of that in the churches, and even Gregorian chant and the rest of that. Because Gregorian chant is just a simple melody, but it reaches up to the top of the vaults of the cathedral. You know, it's a beautiful thing. But praise is expressed in so many different ways. And in the pro-life movement, I don't think we have an anthem as such. We have several different anthems that are there. Nothing like we had in the abolitionist era when we had, of course, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And it's amazing how that song still is sung all over the world. Isn't that a beautiful piece? But sometimes we'll sing that and we'll say, as he made, in the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me, as he died to make men holy. And we sometimes change it to let us live to make men free and defend all human life. So it's not just those who are born, but also those who are unborn, especially those we don't see in the womb. And of
Now
course,
that's the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
yeah.
And then maybe next week or two, or when I bring you back, I recorded it with singing the lyrics and everything. But that's the Battle Hymn of the Republic that he's referring to, my friends. Father Dennis, let me ask you this. I see behind you, you're in your home library. So you have books and CDs behind you. That's quite a collection. What do we see behind you?
Well, there's a lot of music there. Those are
It looks
CDs.
like it.
The books are over on the other side. I'd have to tilt that a little bit. They're more over here.
Okay,
And then
okay,
there's another section over there, but
okay.
that's the front window. So basically, I mean, I'm into the classics, and I'm into a lot of choral music. For how many years was it? I was at Villanova. I taught at Villanova University. That's where I'm living now. Retired from that, but I was tenured and teaching in the art department, and so I did music for a number of years. But I had the choral group there as well. I had the men's chorus, the Villanova Singers, and they performed all over the place. And so I was into choral music, but also, it brings up another point here that there's a fraternity there. In our case, it was just a men's group, but it could be also a faith group of people who have the same heart and mind. And then they're expressing that in song, which can be as soft as can be, or it can be as dynamic and powerful as can be. So most of those things back there, those CDs are instrumental, but there's a lot of choral music and beautiful things, liturgical music, the seasons of the church. I love the Advent season because we're anticipating Christmas, but I also love this season of Lent because we're anticipating Easter. And these are two highlights of the church year. So I do symphonic stuff. I mean, I do mostly classical piano playing. What I do, I used to sing much more than I am doing now, although I can, when I get my voice in shape, sometimes I can do that. But I'm listening, though, to a lot of choral music.
Well, let me say this. We're going to take a quick little break and show some of our products. And one is Tender Moments Alone with God. And that's some of my original songs and music. And I have consulted with Father Dennis. We've been working together at Peaceful Life since 2005. That's when I came on as a pastoral associate. He was already there. And sometimes I say, Father Dennis, take a listen to this. And he'll say, well, the harmonics of this, or you could have done that. And so he's been very helpful with me. Do we have a picture of Father Dennis's website where we can see some of his music, Rob? I don't know if I did send that to you. But you just bring his bio picture back up, because that's one way you can find him over at priestforlife.org. And when you find him, he also has music. One fun thing about Father Dennis that you don't know, when we would have our Christmas parties, company Christmas party prior to COVID, and he would play music there at the Christmas parties and that kind of thing too. And that was always fun. So that's our little promo for today. Visit priestforlife.org. You can certainly go to the store, and there are other places that you can find music from Father Dennis. Now, we've got a treat for you. We're going to bring up Father Dennis playing Stars and Stripes Forever. And he says, well, it's not going to play forever, just 4 minutes. He's got good jokes all the time, but he's just so much fun. Let's play Stars and Stripes Forever. I hope you're applauding with me, everybody. Now, listen, Father Dennis, I don't really know music theory like you do, but you were playing and you crisscrossing went over here, and then you did something that sounded like a waterfall, and then oh my God, it was powerful. Somebody just wrote on the screen, he's outstanding. Now, somebody asked this question. Oh, by the way, guys, that was actually a medley. We had Stars and Stripes, and then we had the Star Spangled Banner both in that particular piece. And if you want to see more than that, find it at Priest for Life. Somebody says he's outstanding. Somebody says, how long have you been playing?
Well, my good mother started me at age 6.
Wow.
So, a few years. That's 72 years.
Oh my goodness, Father Dennis. And that was great. Only time I hear that anymore is for the 4th of July on National Mall.
Right. Yeah.
So anybody have any more questions for Father Dennis on this point? Because we are going to move to another one in a moment. Beautiful piano rendition. They just loved it, Father Dennis. Thank you. And that inspired me. It plays all through the house here while you were playing, and it was so exciting to have that. And folks, send your questions in and tell us where you are across the country. Now, back to this point, Father Dennis has taught me quite a bit about music since I've known him. And there's a Father Nortz who had a piece on music and morality at, what's that website? Opus Angelorum?
Opus Angelorum. Opus Angelorum, the work of the angels, literally, but Opus, O-P-U-S, Angelorum.
Talk to us about that, Father Dennis,
I haven't listened to it in some time now, and you can still get a hold of it. But it basically talks about how the music really influences us, not just in our mind, but also in our spirit, and even physically sometimes too. We know that the case of experiments that are done with mild music and some other music. But he's not talking about the words here. We can get into the words of music, the words that sometimes are very immoral in our secular world, but we're not even going there. It's just simply the music itself. It's an amazing thing to see how that changed. And he goes through the last couple of centuries and looks at the classics, gets into 20th century and how things changed. And some of that, it's very true. Now, there's a lot of taste. We all say, that de gustibus, it's up to people's taste. Different tastes. I like all different sorts of music, but I'm not into hard rock and acid rock. I'll tell you that much.
No, me either.
I'm straightforward on that one.
Wait a minute. Hold that point, because you and I were together, and that's when you first told me about Father Norris, because I had heard that with acid rock and hard rock on the stage where they're playing, if you drop an egg on that stage, it will fry, and that's when you told me about him. Remember?
Yeah. It was amazing. It's an amazing thing when you look at it. The Greeks understood the balance in music. There was harmony, there was melody, there was rhythm, and there was structure. And today we have mostly, it's not just rhythm, it's hard electronic sound. So I have no problem with blaring trumpets or blaring drums. The natural sound in the right context, of course, not every moment, but in the right context. My problem is with the artificial sound sometimes, and I'm not knocking it completely because it's wonderful. It's another way by which we've developed over a period of time. We've gone from strictly the physical instrument now to the electronic world. I mean, we are immersed in that in so many ways, but it cannot substitute for the art that needs to be featured by playing those instruments or by singing. It's the same way with singing. It takes a certain amount of, we all know this is nothing new, but amount of skill, but also an amount of training before one's voice gets into a position where that actual sound comes forth the way it wants to. So a microphone is not going to substitute for it. It'll help you in a big auditorium, but back in those days, the Greeks were able to even speak loudly without a microphone.
In there, yeah. So Father Dennis, we have another question for you.
Sure.
But I do want to point out to the folks that you can find out more about Father Dennis right over at priestforlife.org. I'm going to ask that question in just a minute. Hold it. Now, also, it's very important to understand that music is is part of the pro-life movement as well. We've got a website, and I may say it wrong, and if not, I'll tell you again later. It's prolifepraisegenre.com, prolifepraisegenre.com. And there are so many songs. Peaceful Life has some songs. Father Dennis does. So there's a pro-life praise genre of books and music and art and all that kind of thing. So there really is a lot of pro-life praise music. We've got the song over at Peaceful Life Silent No More, the song, for example. This Is My Body. You can hear that and see the video at peacefullife.org. So there's a question for you. Does Father Dennis practice every day? Probably so.
I try to get in, a good hour or maybe 40 minutes or something each day. Sometimes it goes up to 2.5, 3. Sometimes it goes down to just a few minutes. But I try to do that. And we have a beautiful concert piano right near us in the chapel in the church. Villanova University's church has a Wiesenderfer concert grand, and that's like a Steinway. Marvelous instrument they just got. So I'm trying more and more to get back over there when it's open and available to play there too. But
and
yes,
I bet you have some people who'll slip in and kind of listen while you're practicing. I would. If I knew you were there practicing, I'd be right there listening. I would.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Sometimes there are people there trying to pray, so I will go back and ask them, do you mind if I practice while you're doing it? And if not, I mean, that's fine too. So, but it's to me, it's a very relieving time. If there's tension, I can play, and I get that. I have some things, and I'm going to develop it. I'm still in the process of actually getting them online, but recording music now, and you can do it. I do it right from my phone, actually, and that piano, and I'm doing a lot more of improvisation. So, in other words, I am doing a lot. I like the discipline of really working at the masters and getting their music down and doing it the way they want you to do it and so forth. I think that's a great thing. But also the sense of improvisation, I think, is also great. A lot of times you hear people say, hey, I wrote a piece of music. And my first reactions over the years of, well, can I see that? Can I see it? Can I see the score? And most people, when they say that today, they haven't written anything. They have simply recorded something. But there's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, we're getting to a point without, diminishing the need to really do more in the classics, where we're getting to a point where we find people are not reading the music so much as they're writing. Well, see, I'm using that word again. They're recording.
But they're recording it and hearing it. That's another thing, because we got to move to another little thing real quick, but that's something else you taught me. So I have several of my original songs are now scored because you made that point, but they do have software where the software can score it for them if they're not able to actually do it. But Father, we only have a few minutes left, so I've got to have you weigh in on this little trailer that I'm about to show, and then you'll get the last word on the show today. So we're going to show the Roe v. Wade movie trailer. I'm one of the executive producers. I'm also featured in the film, actually, and we're going to show that, and I'm going to let you have the last word on pro-life or movies or music or anything you'd like to say. Let's go ahead and watch that trailer real quick.
Roe v. Wade, in the grand scheme of things, is not that important.
I understand the importance that people attach to the Roe v. Wade decision.
Real history of the 1973 Roe v. Wade abortion decision.
The Senate has just confirmed.
Brett Kavanaugh is officially confirmed.
That will flip the decision.
We have been in our second civil war for over 50 years now.
A bunch of disorganized men are going to rid this country of abortion restriction.
Doctors must protect life from the point of conception.
Are you sure you want to do this?
You're a liar. You did this. You led me down this path. You didn't want them.
You seen the post this morning?
I saw it.
Idiot. There's a leak.
They've got Hollywood on their side.
This is a conspiracy.
Today, my mommy killed me.
We found a girl in Texas.
We'll give her a pseudonym. Call her Jane Roe. We found the right pregnant girl and the lawyers we could control.
When you see a kid out of law school get to argue to the highest court in Texas,
We want to rally behind the women's movement to get the TV media on board.
What he's trying to say is I am the first Negro woman to graduate Harvard Medical.
Faith in God, respect for his law.
You should join us. I promise you'd have more freedom.
But we weren't Jewish, so we didn't say anything. And then they came after the mentally deficient. But we weren't deficient, so we did nothing. And now they're coming after the unborn. And so you're gonna do nothing?
It's God's duty to forgive.
It's ours to rule the law.
You're changing your vote because your family found out. Or was it the media?
If we don't sort this out, fur will fly today.
You were trying to control this, Warren, old buddy. That is completely unethical.
In the matter of Roe v. Wade, I want the case re-argued.
So you want to enslave women?
I gotta go before I blow a gasket. We got the majority. We're gonna win.
This is beyond the authority of the Supreme Court.
We are the law of the land.
These girls should not be put through the pregnancy and should be entitled to an abortion.
The true silent minority. Who is speaking for these children?
We will hear arguments in Roe against Wade.
Father Dennis, that's the work that we do. Let
sure
me let you have the last word. Oh, it's going to premiere streaming on April 2nd. And we have a website at Priest for Life, Roe v. Wade 50th.org, I think. But anyway, it will be premiering and it'll be streaming and you'll get more information.
What an amazing day for it to be premiering on April 2nd, which happens to be Good Friday this year.
Yeah.
It's Good Friday. And this is again, you know, this is the suffering and death of the Lord in that baby that is slaughtered. And Roe, of course, is the thing which pushed it into the limelight. Abortions were going on before that, legal abortions in New York State, Florida, and so forth. But that's where it really skyrocketed to the 90s, where we went up to 1,700,000 abortions. The words that I pick out of here, and there's so much. This is the first time I've seen this. It's wonderful, that trailer that really is gives a collage. It's like a mosaic of the whole piece together. And there was one line in there that says, "Doctors must protect life from conception." That's a very important statement because and we need to see personhood as well. Personhood is so important because the Constitution allows for that protection once it's established as a person. And Roe made many mistakes, but one of them was saying we don't know when human life begins, and we can't call it person. Basically, they couldn't assert that. Once you assert that, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution comes right into play, and 13th, 14th amendments, like it did in post-slavery days. It came, that's the same thing here. So that's what's out there now. The other thing too, which says this is beyond the purview of the Supreme Court. Remember those two gentlemen speaking towards the middle there, and then of course that's what it's about. It's about God or godlessness. It ultimately is about that. There are some people who are atheists, or they are not believers, but they are pro-life. That's for sure. But when you really get down to it, the reason for that is because there's a higher power which links us together, and we must protect life no matter race, religion, nationality, and time from the very beginning of conception. Yes, it's what we've been doing for a long time, and we're going to continue to do that all the way on through. And it's a pleasure working with somebody like Alveda King, because we all bring different dimensions to these, to the whole foreigners. And you've been through a lot of it there, and you're sharing it is a very inspirational for us too.
Well, Father, we are glad to have had this time with you. 30 minutes is just not long enough. You'll have to come back. And we want a music video of you showing some of that technique that you had. Thank you so much. And to our viewers and listeners, God bless you. God bless us and strengthen us and keep us as we continue through our task that you give us every day. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, folks, join us again on Pro-Life Praise with Evangelist Alveda King. Thanks for joining us today. Bye.